Hello everyone, and welcome to my Duel Today official news channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Marlena informs John Doe in her office that his MRI reveals a past skull fracture that has since healed. He is in perfect health except from it. Just as John arrives, he wants to leave to go look for his son. John presents Joseph Bell's dog tags to John Doe and explains that he was in a VA hospital. He continues by saying that Timothy Robichaud's his biological father, and he both fought in the Korean War. John Doe begs John to tell him more about the person because the name sounds familiar to John. John explains how his father evolved into the perverse Yoling. John Doe recounts that a soldier exchanged their dog tags and abandoned him to perish after injuring him in battle. The Joseph Bell dog tags aren't his, John understands. That name didn't strike John Doe as being recognizable. That's because your name is Timothy Robichaud's. John replies as he takes off another set of dog tags from his neck. You've been looking for your son all these time, he claims. Your hunt is finished, sir. Marlena informs Timothy that after receiving a military injury, he got misplaced in the VA system. They don't know much about John's past other than the fact that he was born on a farm, just like Timothy. That, as well as the name of his wife, Maud, who gave birth to their child after he vanished, are remembered by Timothy. Timothy laments the difficult life John must have led. But for John, the only thing that matters is that he is there right now. John explains that his being placed for adoption is a convoluted subject, and that Maud passed away a few years ago while Timothy probes him. After all the turns and turns, John becomes emotional as he discovers his origins. He says that Marlena and Timothy helped him become the guy he is now. Timothy advises them to take precautions to prevent losing each other again. Outside the Kyriakis mausoleum, Sarah collapses as her water bursts. She says she feels like she needs to push while screaming in pain. Xander remembers Sarah's spontaneous delivery at the side of the road. In the meantime, Chloe rushes to retrieve Rex's medical bag as she reclines on a lounge chair. Rex reassures Xander that she is fully termed despite his concerns that it is too early. After that, he tells Xander to go fetch some towels. Rex is forced to make a commitment by Sarah that what happened to Mackenzie won't happen again. Rex pledges. Sarah concerns that despite being in excruciating pain, she will inform Xander that he is the father. She won't tell him until she wants to, Rex promises her. Rex begins getting ready after Xander and Chloe arrive with supplies. Xander extends his hand to Sarah when she cries out in anguish. Another video shows Xander assisting Sarah during her first delivery. Sarah gives birth to a girl while Xander supports her behind her on the chaise. Sarah, who is holding her daughter, claims she worried having another girl would be like losing Mackenzie. Instead, she is overflowing with affection. She is flawless. Sarah hands the infant to Xander as she begins to tremble. She trembles and mutters, "There's something he should know," but she faints before she can finish. Vivian waltzes inside the Kyriakis mansion and grabs a mimosa for herself. Maggie tells her to leave, but Vivian says she intends to stay. She raises her champagne flute in a cheers gesture. Justin assumes she was on furlough for Victor's funeral when the gang questions why she is not in jail. Maggie questions why, given that she is not related. Vivian finds it unfathomable that her son would hear her say such a thing. Philip groans, "Here we go," and hugs her. Kate screams that Philip is not her son simply because she took her embryo. Vivian admits she was released on good conduct after Bonnie realizes she isn't wearing an ankle monitor. She displays her release documents as evidence, and Justin ratifies them. Maggie shouts, "Get the hell out of my house," while quoting Victor. When Bonnie becomes involved, and Vivian realizes Bonnie is not Adrienne, Vivian asks Justin, "Did you trade Adrienne for a carbon copy the way I did when Nicholas lost his Cocker Spaniel?" Vivian makes a threat to break one of Maggie's figurines after more argument and rehashing of the past has taken place. Philip begs her to go in a rage, Until the will is read, she won't. He checks the safe to show her that she is not one of Victor's inheritors, but the will is missing. Vivian smugly pours herself another mimosa. Kate nudges Philip away as Justin makes a call to Victor's estate lawyers. She informs him that although neither of them is mentioned in the will, Victor set up a covert trust for him. Then Philip proposes they go. When they're finished, Justin lets the others know that Victor had his will destroyed while he was away. Everything passes to the surviving spouse if there is no will on file. Thus, according to Justin, Maggie receives everything. That's not really true, Vivian responds. At the bar, Kate tells Philip how beautiful his eulogy was and inquires about his well-being. This time, Philip knows it really is goodbye. He had always believed that he would get another chance to earn Victor's forgiveness. Before one of his excursions, he remembers a touching exchange with Victor. Victor adored her son without conditions, Kate informs her son. She then savors Vivian discovering she won't receive anything from the will. Vivian informs Maggie, Justin, and Bonnie that she is the surviving spouse at the mansion. Maggie and Victor's marriage is void because the divorce papers were never properly filed. Inheriting everything is Vivian. John wrapped up their tale quickly, but was the reward worthwhile? Even though Victor's burial fell short of our expectations, it was nevertheless filled with emotion and precipitated Sarah's problems as well as a significant fallout in the form of Vivian. First of all, considering there have been a couple hundred whose John's daddy reveals, that was the quickest and simplest one ever. Second, perhaps you guys should get a DNA test. I have a ton of inquiries about the Dick Van Dyke incident. The fact that John remarked on Friday's program that he has had so many changes to his family over the years, each one worse than the last. But this one is finally something positive, however, has ultimately convinced me to overlook everything. Additionally, they only changed John's front story for this, not even his backstory. Yoling wasn't who he claimed to be, but he is still who we thought he was. You have it then. Plus, seeing a father and kid embrace was actually touching. John has never understood that, and Dick Van Dyke added such warmth to it. Hopefully he taped enough for us to witness them developing a bond before he quits the show. Perhaps that is what makes Paul return. Poor memory? Does the program simply not remember that Brady and Theresa have been getting along for a while? Do I have this right? Brady's hatred for her has suddenly increased significantly from what I remember. And Jen Lilly sort of referenced that when she released some behind-the-scenes images and stated she and Eric Martsolf were a little perplexed by the remember, they don't like each other instructions they were given. The truth is that Days of Our Lives doesn't have to forgo history in favor of narrative, because this reunion is so unexpected. Brady might still be shocked and kill Theresa. He doesn't need to apologize, label her irredeemable, or say he's holding out for Kristen-level betrayal from her. But Alex had better be careful. He might be trying to better himself, but I doubt I'll ever see him with someone as sweet-natured as Stephanie. Theresa isn't as cunning as she once was, but she is still Theresa. And I'm still very certain that she could spit Alex out after chewing him up. Even if Alex suspects he's involved, she'll find a way to exploit him to make Brady envious. Life. The fact that none of us think Sarah will truly pass away doesn't change the fact that Friday's delivery was ended on a satisfying, dramatic cliffhanger. Though what a twist that would be. If Rex sought to raise the child as his own, it would likely lead to a heated argument and leave Maggie devastated after losing Victor. There would also be one less person to contest Vivian's claims. The fact that Sarah was concerned about telling Xander the truth when she was in pain, though, fascinates me. When in pain, two people typically just blurt that out. I mean, I realize that is the flawed reasoning behind torturing people. But does it really happen that way? When you step on something heavy, do you tell your lover that you don't like his haircut? But instead, it was made apparent by the flashbacks and the near miss that Sarah would eventually come to the conscious realization that Xander had indeed changed and would tell him so. And after the initial shock wears off, I'm hopeful he'll use the teachings he's been picking up from Chloe and forgive her. Speaking of Chloe, I must admit that I was expecting more envious shots of her while Xander gushed over Sarah. But once more, I was reminded of why I liked them together. She was merely attempting to assist. Maturity. And because we knew so much of it to be true, it had even more of an impact. Along with Victor, the performers were bidding farewell to John Aniston. They might have loved him more, but Maggie might have been allowed to love Victor. And Vivian made the ideal entrance. She might have made more of an impact if she had entered during the funeral. But she is more of a comedic character, and the ceremony deserved to be left alone. Regarding her admission. But I didn't anticipate the disappearing will. She no longer has to struggle for control because she already has it all. The home, the cash, and, presumably, the majority stake in Titan. She is able to operate it and spook the Kyriakeses and Dimiras by luring Stefan over. People are already assuming that Vivian stole it, but I'm betting it was somewhere near Victor when his plane crashed. Even though we've already discussed it, the Isabella theory is still an option. Victor had to change his will because he had been keeping her alive in Greece and had finally succeeded in rousing her. I'm interested to see where this goes even if it doesn't. She is suddenly positioned to flip the entire days of our lives picture in one fell swoop. Also rebirth. Susan is still alive. I'll wait a second for the chorus of gasps to stop. Or simply to allow us to hear the crickets chirp. We didn't genuinely believe she had left, but yet, where in the world has she been? Is she incarcerated somewhere since Jason, Carly Harris, and Ava managed to flee and are now on the case? I'm confident we'll have the answer soon enough. Thanks for watching if you liked this video, so please don't forget to subscribe my channel and don't miss any update.